the challenge with us, because you look at the minting industry worldwide, it is so small. There's really only one or two companies that are actually making equipment specific to our industry. A lot of the melting and casting is derivative of the jewelry industry. It's somewhere between the copper and aluminum fabrication and what the jewelers did. Rolling technology is very much the same way. Blanking presses are blanking presses. It's the same used in industry. So a lot of the stuff that we have to do, we have to wait for the trickle-down effect, where it finally, I guess, becomes economical enough in our industry. We're finally starting to see that in some of the new laser technology, the finishing technologies that are available to us, that they just were a dream 10 years ago. Now we're finally starting to see the economies of it come, that it makes sense in our industry. You know, we're not in the type of industry where we can go spend $5 million on a new laser and expect any sort of payback on that. That's just not going to happen. But now these new laser systems, now you're talking $300,000-$400,000. It's still a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's much easier to justify the cost of that in our industry. So, you know, for us, it's just being patient and waiting for the technology to trickle down to us. Robotics is a prime example. You know, this last work cell with the cobots, you know, the collaborative robots. These things were a couple of $100,000 10 years ago. That robot was $30,000. Like, so now we're finally starting to see that hit a level of economics that it's easy to afford. It's easy for us to integrate it into our processes and just make us, you know, a smarter manufacturing company, not just, you know, as my father said, I'd rather work smart than work hard. And that's what we're trying to do through all of our operations, is just be very smart about what we're doing, where we're investing, and not compromising the quality of the product.
On that note, what is the next phase for you? What does pie in the sky look like?
For the business you talk about?
For the business, yeah.
For the business? It's really trying to find that, you know, the last 5 years, last even decade has been all driven by the bullion. For us, it's really redefining ourselves into this space, into the specialty product space, to be able to do it economically. There's, the challenge domestically is a lot of these talents, the craftsman talents, are in Central Europe, are in China, places like that. We just don't have a lot of that here, so we have to develop some of those craftsman skills to bring back that marry the technology with the craftsman skills to be able to produce products like this economically. And, you know, so that our focus is in on how do we create products like this very agile, very quick, you know, so we can meet the market demand and really help, again, continue to raise the bar in North America as to what people are capable of producing without being a government mint. You know, these guys have got very deep pockets, but thankfully for us, a lot of them are the most creative out there. And we want to take that creativity and be able to reset the bar of expectations here in North America.
Well, I think you're well on your way to doing that. You had said earlier how at one point in your career early on, it was really important for you to keep your word. And I recently had a podcast with Cody Webster, 5-time bullfighter of the year, and he was on a meteoric rise in rodeo. And he said that there were certain opportunities that came his way, but if he had given his word to a smaller rodeo, he was going to participate in that one. These are life lessons that I'm hoping that we can extract on this program on Y'all Street, this kind of intersection between Texas values and business. As we sort of close out this podcast, what final pieces of advice do you have for those up-and-comers in business who either want to be CEOs or want to be, you know, in the manufacturing business or anything at large? What pieces of advice do you want to leave to our listeners?
You know, I'm personally going through some changes in my careers. I'm 60, I'll be 62 here shortly, and kind of, I think, in the twilight of my career. I have no end in sight, but I'm certainly trying to help to develop the next generation. So I've recently promoted 2 people within my organization to be president and vice president, and to help mentor them. And Jason, who, you know, asked me this question the other day, he said, you know, what do you think is one of the keys to your success. And as I built this amazing company, I said, I really think if it came down to two things, it was that I was too stupid to say no. I just never said no. I always figured if somebody's looking for it, then somebody out there is going to make it. Why can't it be me? Right? But as a result of not saying no, it forced me to become a student of the industry, like really be passionate about the industry, love what you're doing, because then it's never a job, right? And I know that's an old cliche saying, but like I said, I've been doing this for 35 years. I still get excited every day when I get up. I still look forward to things that are happening, because it's always something new. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to make mistakes. Hopefully you don't make them too big, that you can recover from them. But all of those things create stepping stones for your career. And just stay engaged and stay involved, because if you try to sit back in we were talking about the humility side of it, try to sit back on your past successes, your competitors are going to blow past you because you're just kind of sitting back and coasting. We talked earlier before the podcast started, I had invested in some commercial real estate downtown Coeur d'Alene. Well, after about 6 years, I just realized it was taking my focus off the main part of my business, the proverbial goose that laid the golden egg. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to get rid of all of this so that I can really refocus in on what's truly important, And by doing that, it allowed me to kind of reinvigorate myself and the business and where we were going. It is really important to just stay focused on your business. Don't worry about the noise. It's always good to listen about what competitors are doing, see what the market is doing, pay attention to all of these global influences, but you've got to forge a path, right? And be resolute in what you're trying to do, to know if we stay on this is the way it's going to go. We're and then the team will absolutely, every industry, every business, and this, is just looking for leadership. And I think the leadership is the key part of it all. Be the leader.